You've found yourself at the junction where worlds meet. Politics.
Civility? How about honesty in this country, folks?
Entertainment.
I don't like entertainment.
And a whole bunch of other stuff.
It's about having a healthy body image. You have a very unhealthy body. You should have a horrible body image.
Not a big home improvement market in Detroit.
We are definitely going to get letters.
You're listening to Talk Radio's Strangest Animal.
You're a strange animal, that's what I know.
You're getting louder with Crowder.
But you're a strange animal, I got to follow.
Love the flow. Love the flow. 69. Now it's time for new, believable people, and we must do it. If we don't control insiders, this will be over and over. To lead by an any big fat love. Find common ground to halt the spread of lies, and we must do it big, fat love. Find common ground to halt the spread of lies, and any America first, America first, non-fatal. We want to build a much better, believable people, and we must do it non-fatal. Communication very much higher. America first. To lead by an any insiders fighting for insiders. Time to stop. Insiders fighting for insiders. More of insiders fighting for insiders. Time to stop. Insiders fighting for insiders. America first. Love the flow. 69. Now it's time for new, believable people, and we must do it. If we don't control insiders, this will be over and over. To lead by an any big fat love. Find common ground to halt the spread of lies, and we must do it big fat love. Find common ground to halt the spread of lies, and any America first. America first. Non-fatal. We want to build a much better, believable people, and we must do it non-fatal. Communication very much higher. America first. To lead by an any insiders fighting for insiders. Time to stop. Insiders fighting for insiders. More of insiders fighting for insiders. Time to stop. Insiders fighting for insiders. America first. Love the flow.
And it is the sound of the weekend. This is probably not going to work.
No one can hear you.
No? All right, hold
At
on.
all. This is
Too much?
This is too much, but this is not an.
It's the hot.
This is not
that's
too
exactly
much.
what the doctor ordered.
This is precisely.
It's the Halloween Spooktacular, so it requires me a little longer to get to the mic. Sound of the weekend, louderwithcrowder.com for all references. Producing with me in video studio, as always, is Jared, who is not gay. Follow him on Twitter at notgayjared. I fulfill my legal obligations, draw your own conclusions. We're good.
You're good.
Big show. Actually,
show.
a little shorter than usual. We're doing this. We've done this a couple times before because it's our Halloween Spooktacular.
Yes.
For those listening terrestrially, there won't be a third hour. For those listening on the podcast, there will be an additional segment going over your tweets and naming the official winner of our Halloween costume contest.
Which is right there for
right
all.
here, the rules. So we've been teasing this all week. People go, well, how do I get it? Listen, it's pretty simple. While we're broadcasting live, you watch the live stream Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. 7 Central, for those who don't live on the East Coast. I don't know what it is Pacific. I don't do the math that much. Send in live right now your tweets of you watching Louder with Crowder in your costume, and the one with the best costume, best picture wins. some merch from the hashtag Never Daily.
Never
stir.
daily. This is never happening.
And if we were to ever have, for example, like a mug club, if we were to ever go daily, this person would probably win a membership, but that's not going to happen. And we might have another Scary Black Rifle giveaway for Christmas, but we're getting ahead of ourselves because it's Halloween.
Yeah, of course. Way too far.
So it is.
Ahead.
It is a big evening, big night. So send in your. We always love celebrating the Hallows Eve here on Louder with Crowder.
Yes.
Before we get into a couple of stories, we're also going to have Papa Crowder on later. My
The
dad,
Papa
Pops
Crowder.
Crowder, talking about some stories from
Yeah, some-
Montreal during the ice storm.
Tales and fables of the old wicked north. That is Canada.
Yeah,
Hopeless
it's a
north.
horrible, hopeless
Horrible.
desert wasteland
yes.
of tundra, as far as the eye can see. So he'll be there. So Dana Loesch and Darren Crowder, good stuff. Do we need to talk about the Samantha Bee thing?
We
first?
do.
Oh,
This
okay.
happened.
So yeah, this happened. Samantha Bee. Do we have a clip?
No.
Do we have a screenshot?
No.
Oh, we did a video on Samantha Bee earlier this week. She did her whole abortion video, which was just silly, saying partial birth abortion is not a thing. Of course, it is a thing. We did that video, so we won't want to get into that. But I log on. I go onto HuffPo today. Samantha Bee breaking through another glass ceiling. I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, she's been moved to a network from cable. It's not only is Samantha Bee the first female ever late night comedy host, which I don't really, Joan Rivers, but I guess she didn't have the actual job.
Yeah.
Also, she was funny. So, first, not only is she the first female to host a late night comedy show, she's now the first female to host a late night comedy show who will interview a president on Halloween. I swear to you, this is an actual headline at Huffington Post today. I just don't know. Why is everything about a glass ceiling?
It's like the Olympics. They just make up new competitions every year to like, oh, here's a new category.
Right.
Didn't exist before.
Yeah.
But
Skiing
this
and
guy's pretty
shooting.
cool.
Skiing and shooting.
He's great.
I don't know why that became a sport.
No.
If I'm silver, I'm shooting gold. That's
Yes.
it. It seems like it's a risk that we don't need to take.
No.
As a civilized society. But it's just, I guess it's a glass ceiling. If you have a vagina, that's what it comes. If you have a vagina, you do it. They go, well, has anyone else ever done this before? Well, I guess not. All right, we'll call it another glass ceiling. They are just grasping at straws. So we'll be talking about that a little bit more as we go on. We'll grab these clips. But it is just something that really has irked me. It's all about firsts. First black president, first female president. And I did think with the first black president, at least, like, well, okay. Maybe now there'll be some healing. Maybe now people will admit that we're not overall a racist country, and it's only gotten worse.
Boy, were you wrong.
I know. And now the first female president, you'd like to think, well, okay, we've gotten past that. Now it can be about the best person for the job. They're just going to trot out some black female tranny. That's what's going to happen.
Yes.
It's going to get worse.
But
And so
Michelle
let's-
hasn't announced yet, so we should
Stop it.
keep that under wraps.
That's not nice.
That's leaked information.
But it's not fair. With the
Leaky.
whole tranny movement, it's not
Don't
fair
like
to
that
big
word.
women because you never give them the
No.
benefit of the doubt. Speaking of benefit of the doubt, this happened this week. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's been asking me to talk about it. I try not to get into some inside baseball with my time at Fox News, and some people have been... Megyn Kelly and Newt Gingrich. This was the thing this week. Let's run this clip really quickly.
Trump's had a rough
If
time.
Trump is
At
a
least
sexual predator, that
he's
is...
not a sexual predator.
Okay,
You
that's
can't
your
say
opinion.
that.
I'm
You
not
could
taking a
not
position
defend
on
that
it.
statement.
I
Now,
am
I'm
not
sick
taking a
and
position
tired of
on it.
people like you using language that's inflammatory that's not true.
Excuse me, Mr. Speaker.
Donald
you have
Trump
no
was not
idea
this-
whether it's true or not. What we know is that
Neither-
there are at
neither
least...
do you.
It
That's
feels
right,
like
and
it
I'm
goes
not
on
taking a
forever, but let's
position
just give
on it,
another-
Yes,
unlike
you are.
you.
When you use
Is that it?
Yeah, end of the day.
That's the end there? Oh, it gets so much worse.
It does get so
Let's
much worse.
call Bill Clinton a sexual predator. I dare you. I dare you. And then she says, you have anger issues. Okay, a lot of people are going, yeah, go Newt Gingrich. And a lot of people are, I stand with Megyn Kelly. I stand with neither. I don't know about you. Is it just me? Was that just an overall embarrassing display?
It was just not. It was frankly not good.
Frankly, not good?
Not well.
When I say not good, I mean that it's bad.
It could possibly be.
And we'll talk
Not
with Dana
bad,
Loesch
well.
about it later. She's had both. She's had relationships
Yes.
with both. First off, I'm not a huge fan of either person. Megyn Kelly for entirely personal reasons. Newt Gingrich for professional reasons. And it's this shouting match that I think is why people are tuning out of cable news. They're yelling. It becomes petty. It becomes unprofessional. It becomes personal. Okay, Newt Gingrich. Here's what's funny to me. All the Trump fans love Newt Gingrich all of a sudden. There is nobody, and I mean nobody, more establishment than Newt Gingrich. The reason I don't like Newt Gingrich I'm not a huge fan. I don't hate him. The reason I'm not a huge fan of Newt Gingrich is he's establishment to a T. Supported health care mandate, right? He actually stood with Hillary Clinton when we were talking about a health care plan back in the early 90s. Newt Gingrich made over $1.5 million in consulting fees to Freddie Mac. Newt Gingrich earned entirely all of his wealth, every single dime, once he attained public office. The mixing of nonprofit funds with for-profit entities, extramarital affairs. All of his super PACs are funded by the same old suspects: Sheldon Acornson, Sheldon Adelson. Millions of dollars going to his PACs. He is the definition
And
of
that
a Washington
plastic-looking
insider.
hairdo.
And the hairdo. Like Newt Gingrich is
So much to
everything that
grieve
people
about.
want to burn down in the Republican Party. Is a guy who's been there forever, who is,
Yep.
and then when he hasn't been in there, has made his money off of talking about how he was in there. So I'm not a Newt Gingrich fan. Then we go to Megyn Kelly. Petty, vindictive. I think she's relatively good at her job. I absolutely think that she's a social climber. This is a woman who came out and said that Roger Ailes groped her. Now, I'm going to be consistent. I'm not going to praise and love Roger Ailes because he's now allies with Trump. I'm going to say I think Roger Ailes likely groped her. I think Roger Ailes likely groped other people at Fox News. Let's be honest, because I knew people. I think Roger Ailes did it. Megyn Kelly said he did it. Megyn Kelly only came out and said that he did it after women came forward and they took the heat. Megyn Kelly said this after. Here's the thing that's crazy. She said that he groped her years ago. If you look at the timeline, she said that he had groped her. It happened before she got a primetime show. It happened before she praised openly and talked about what a great employer and what a great mentor Roger Ailes is. So as far
That's
as
awkward.
I am concerned, I want to see a double knockout with these two. I am not taking sides, and that I think Megyn Kelly was pretty unprofessional there. I think Newt Gingrich lost his cool, and to me, that is everything that it's why I tune out of news. I don't have the patience for it anymore. I don't tune into news to hear her say, what if Donald Trump's a sexual predator? And then Newt Gingrich challenged someone to say Bill Clinton's a sexual predator? Of course Bill Clinton's a sexual predator. It is. There's no good side to take on that. It's more embarrassing than this program. And that's hard to do. It is difficult. We'll be back after this. More shameful content in the commercial break. There's no doubt.
More.
Do you have fire alarms in your house? How about fire extinguishers? Locks on your door? Light switches? Of course you do, because you're prepared gentlemen or woman or gentle Z. We want to be gender neutral here, but a lot of you could be in some kind of danger if there's a natural disaster, riot, something for which you're not prepared. I had the ice storm in Montreal for over 7 days. No food, water, or power. Doesn't need to be a cataclysmic event. Can be something that people face every day across this country, and that's why right now we have a promo with preparewithcr.com, or you can call 888-457-3453 to get your 30-day supply emergency kit. That's 140 servings for $99 shipped. This is a special offer. It's not going on forever. $99 shipped, 30-day food supply. Just register over there at
preparewithcr.com.
That's right, preparewithcr.com or 888-457-3453. I was distracted by my friend here.
There's a spider behind you. Worth it. Totally worth it.
Glad to be back. We have some costumes here. Let me show these up on the screen. This comes from Brittany Hanley. She's a Trekkie. That's rare to see an attractive woman doing that.
That is. That's bizarre.
I think that's photoshopped.
Someone should probably look authorities on that one.
Little racist Mexican sombrero. Love that. I don't know what this is. It looks like an old costume party, kind of like Labyrinth David Bowie with the cod piece.
Yeah.
Don't know. Who else do we have here? Who else do we have? Well, that guy, no. Mark you need to be watching louder with Crowder to send in. What is this? What is my timeline? Let's never show. Oh, Hillary Clinton for prison. Prison. Costumes are great. We'll announce the winner at the end, and you will win more than just a t-shirt. It's going to be pretty awesome. Hey, speaking of which, this happened this week.
This.
Minutos en los que la exsecretaria de Estado tuvo tiempo hasta para conocer el tequila del mismísimo Chente. Luego, saludó a Martica, quien le llevó un café hecho...
Just for people who are wondering, that was a midget giving Hillary Clinton tequila.
Of course.
Did you see her face when the midget comes out? She's, oh! But I know in her head she's going, oh, crap, we're going to get letters.
The midget vote's gone.
What's so
all
funny?
700 of them.
What's funny about this is that like, Latinos, they're overwhelmingly against Trump, but they're the most politically incorrect people you know. It doesn't even occur to them that we probably shouldn't exploit a midget with a presidential candidate.
It's just part of like it's part of the kit you get for the show business there. You're like, hey, I need to start a show, and they're like, here's your midget.
No one takes advantage of Mexican stereotypes more than
It's
Mexicans.
not even a question over
Sombrero, taco, sombrero, send any midget. They get a better tip.
They're profiting so much over all that cultural appropriation crap. They love it.
Oh my gosh, it's
they
how
love
they make
it.
their bones and then stick it in their nose and roll a head down a temple. Hey, bring this up. So this is something I wanted to talk about this week because we did the abortion video with Samantha Bee, and we don't have a whole ton of time. So you see these, you've seen these bumper stickers that are aimed at how are Republicans pro-life? Once you're born, they don't care. They're just pro-birth, right? Yeah. We have all of these up here. How to tell if a Republican is pro-life or just anti-woman. Ask them to raise taxes to feed hungry babies. These are bumper stickers. This is bumper sticker knowledge, and you'll see this plastered on Facebook as memes, again, because of the problem.
All over Twitter, every SJW and their mother.
And here's the problem with that. And this is what I think is one of the fundamental differences between the left and people like us. They immediately attribute motive.
Yes.
For example, you've heard me say this many times about Bernie Sanders. I think the guy is delusional. I think he's wrong, but I think he genuinely wants to help. Right? There are people like Hillary Clinton who are just conniving, horrible, awful, terrible wenches.
Yes.
But I do think there are plenty of liberals, particularly young liberals, young leftists, who want to help and they're misguided. How many times have you heard us say that? Liberals right away attribute Republicans just hate kids. Republicans just hate black people. Republicans just hate women. Republicans just hate queers. Republicans just hate chicks with dicks. We're going to have to get that on the censor button. I didn't even realize that. That just came out. That's not a good.
Because it rhymes.
The Halloween spirit.
It rhymes. Rhymes are
Trannies
fun.
are the non-offensive term. And here, let me explain this to you for people out there who don't get this, because you've had friends in your time in your Facebook feed, your timeline.
Yes.
One who is no longer a friend.
Yes.
Because they think it's like, oh, gotcha. Let me explain this somewhat rationally. Republicans, people like me, conservatives, we're pro-life because we are overall pro-liberty. That's what it comes down to. We don't oppose socialized health care because we want poor people to die. We oppose socialized health care because we want more people to live. That's why I oppose socialized health care. I've looked at the health projections. I've looked at the likeliness of dying from a terminal illness, and it is higher virtually everywhere than the United States. If you have a terminal illness, your best chance of living is the United States, being a United States citizen. Republicans don't oppose the current public school union-run regime because we want kids to be stupid. We oppose it because we want children to be provided with a choice. We want parents to be provided with a choice. That's why we've pushed for school choice programs, school vouchers, charter schools, all of which they're God, King John Oliver crap on and say, let's funnel more money into the current public school system. We don't oppose a welfare state because we want people to be poor. We oppose it because we want people to thrive. And we see how the welfare state has destroyed lives. Let's talk about the Black American family after Lyndon Johnson. It decimated Black American families because there was an incentive to remain in a welfare state. And by the way, the single greatest indicator you could possibly have of economic health, of personal health, wellness, longevity,
your kids going to school, staying out of prison,
your kids staying out of prison, is marriage. Is our mommy and daddy in the house? Are they married? That it's not even close. School, money, none of it. And that's what Republicans, that's what conservatives have always supported. You may not like it. You may not like the idea of a nuclear family, but we support that because we want kids to thrive. Minimum wages. They don't create wealth. They eliminate jobs. That's why we oppose them. Healthcare mandates don't make insurance more affordable. They skyrocket premiums, as we've seen this week. Socialized healthcare doesn't make people healthier. They put you before death panels who determine whether you get end-of-life treatment, live or die. That's another thing. This is what the left says. They say, well, partial birth abortion isn't a thing. Yeah, of course it was a thing. That's why it was banned. Hillary Clinton fought against getting it banned. Now, that's not the medical terminology. It's called dilation and extraction. We give it a term that people can understand. Just like dolphin is not the actual scientific term for a dolphin. Don't ask me what it is. I know with whales, it's Amos schumarius. We know that.
Yeah.
With
that one,
hippos,
yeah.
it's Hilarius clintonus. We know that. I don't know dolphins. So we give it a term, partial birth abortion, because it's a way that someone can understand. It's a way that someone can process it. Same thing with death panels. Remember that there's no such thing as a death panel. No one thinks that there's a Death Star and Emperor Palpatine is going to come out and say, oh, you will die. What we're talking about is the government at this point having to ration care. Do you know how I know there are death panels? Because my aunt was put in front of one with lung cancer that was stage 4 by the time the panel could even determine her course of treatment in Canada. In Canada. This is why in Canada, 2005, we've talked about this, Chauvet versus Quebec, Supreme Court case. They said it's a violation of human rights to ban privatized healthcare because people are dying and they have the right to pay for healthcare. So this idea that Republicans aren't pro-birth because we just don't support free crap at the expense of the taxpayer all the time, it's not because we don't care about people. It's because we care more about people and we have a fundamental understanding of how the world works. Don't allow yourself to be tricked by this or even use that term. That term compassionate conservative was used to try and fight back for a while because people felt guilty. Listen, there is nothing more compassionate than capitalism, than free enterprise, and conservatism. The people who are greedy little bastards who want to get their hands on everything and absolutely destroy it like the spoiled toddlers that they are the leftists who put that bumper sticker on their Prius, which, by the way, is worse for the environment with 2 giant non-recyclable batteries. You want to be better for the environment? Go buy a crappy beat-down car. It's not even close. They don't have to make a new one. Stop driving your Prius. They also handle like crap. It's a white guilt-mobile, and I hate you. Dana Loesch next.
For breaking news on Louder with Crowder, I'm Perry Matheson. It's no secret that Samantha Bee has been a trailblazer. A first for many women in the entertainment industry, but we take you now live to a Louder with Crowder exclusive, where Samantha Bee is breaking through yet another glass ceiling by wearing white pants after Labor Day. Truly a sight to behold. And I believe that those pants are actually denim. Don't trick the eye there. Back in my day, we called them dungarees. But I'm a little more old school. Of course, Samantha Bee is all new. The ceiling breaker that she is. We'll keep you abreast as this story unfolds. Louder with Crowder, I'm Perry Matheson.
This is, for those who hear my muffled face, it's because my mask is to hell with it.
You are disgusting.
That's been going on for too long. I commit to the character. Next guest.
We need to get her on so we can stop looking at
good guest of the show. You know her. You watch her on The Blaze. You hear her radio show. You can follow it all at danaradio.com. Dana Loesch, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Stephen. I'm coming to you live from my bedroom.
Yes. Oh, gee, someone's going to make a comment about Dana Loesch in bedroom. And the problem is it'll be a fan, and it'll be complimentary, and it'll still be wildly inappropriate and overly sexual.
That's kind of what they do.
That's the nature of the internet.
That is the internet.
Yes, hey. I just realized this. When I knew you, if you were pale, and now you're tanned, what is that, a conscious effort?
Wait a minute, right now? No, it's called Laura Mercier Brownser because television camera lights suck.
Oh,
that's what that's called.
That makes sense. Yeah, your hair was lighter.
And I swear to you, it's the lighting in here because I just now saw myself on your monitor. And it does. I look incredibly healthy. I look like I just came back. Actually, I would actually prefer was just stay in here and just do everything from in here
This is
right now.
what you should
It's great.
do. Yes.
Look how white it makes my teeth.
Well, that's why bodybuilders do all the tan, and that's why black people always look. They always use them in dentist commercials. Black
That's
people
true.
always look like they have really white teeth. It's just true. It's just the contrast.
You did not say that they use black people in
dentistry commercials, absolutely.
No.
Oh, Lukman Kimunju, whoever that Amadeus actor is, that you know what I'm talking about.
Beautiful teeth.
They do.
That is what they do. And you know what? Stop trying to take this away from them because it's a wonderful opportunity.
It's Indian American too, but that's only like a tiny percentage of it. But it's the Laura Mercier. Get it, ladies. It's great.
All right.
I swear she's not paying me.
Well, no, probably not. Probably not on this show. They should pay you to keep it off of this show. PrepareWithCR.com. Okay, so we were talking about this on your program, Megyn Kelly, Newt Gingrich. We played the clip earlier in the program.
Can I just interrupt you for a second?
What?
Did you seek help for that wound, the chest wound?
Well, I sought the wise counsel of Jill Stein, and she just shrieked hysterically. So,
She was
little known
displeased,
fact,
to say the
not
least.
a great person.
I just wanted to make sure you had it looked at before we get going. I just, wanted to make, because it looked like it was, like it could fester.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Make sure it was all right. Okay.
Well,
cool.
you know what? I always would love to just put a gorilla on a bench, like put them actually through, the powerlifting total, see what they can do. Because a chimpanzee is apparently, I can't substantiate this at all. I've heard it like 10 times as strong as a human. You just got to wonder what a gorilla is.
I got into a fight with a chimpanzee once, right?
I don't know how that happens. Was this?
Yes, Chris.
Well, go ahead. I'll give you the floor.
Don't make fun of me, but I did get into a fight with a chimpanzee when I was younger. I lived in Festus, Missouri, and the people who lived up the road from us, their daughter was married to this guy whose his family actually owned and dealt with exotic animals. And so they had all of these chimpanzees, and they treated them like children, and they dressed them like children, and they had bunk beds.
Oh, that's how the lady got her face ripped off by the chimpanzee on red wine and Xanax.
I was going to say,
any of that ever happened. Poor Charla Nash. So anyway, they were babysitting one of these chimpanzees because their daughter went on vacation with this guy. And I thought we were going to be best friends. And I was really excited about it because I thought chimpanzees are just like humans, right? They're not. They're horrible little beasts.
They are.
And so I made little snacks. You guys remember the Bugles corn chips?
Yes,
Stevie,
I do.
it
was a great gag, the witch fingers.
Yes.
Classic.
So I made a little baggie, a snack baggie of Bugles corn chips, one for me and one for my new monkey friend, right? Because I thought we were going to be BFFs.
Technically,
and
apes.
This is during the My Buddy craze too.
Offensive.
I should point that out. So anyway, when she came down the hill to go and get me, because my mom had to go to work and she was watching me all summer, she had the little chimpanzee with her, and he was in some Oshkosh Bagosh overalls and had a little hat on backwards. And I was so excited, and I ran out and I handed him a bag of snacks, and he went and just smashed them all together and then shoved me. And I got mud all over my Dukes of Hazzard shirt, my cowgirl skirt, and my cowboy boots. And then after that, this little jackass proceeded for the next week to torture me. He would stick his hand on his diaper and then try to touch me with it. And he would touch other places on himself and then try to touch me with his little hand, paw, whatever they have. And then one night or one afternoon, I was taking a nap in her den. And it was like the Telltale Heart with Edgar Allan Poe. I'm sitting there on the sofa, laying there on the sofa, and I was just getting ready to go to sleep, and the door cracked open, and a crack of light fell on my face, and I saw his little chimpanzee head thump, 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 coming through the door. And I knew he was coming to pinch me or do something horrible. So one day, he pinched me hard enough, and I made a hand, and I slapped
from
this
Back to the
chimpanzee.
Future.
I slapped him so hard, it hurt my hand, and he went crazy, but I didn't get my face ripped off.
She sleeps with a gun under her pillow for fear of a bonobo giving her
Bobby
an Indian
the
sunburn.
chimp gonna come.
My least favorite
wreck the
exhibit
day.
at the zoo.
I knew the story started and
Anyway,
ended with
just,
someone.
That could have
screwing
gone
up.
a lot worse, though,
And
to
that
be
was not
honest,
proven
with a
wrong.
chimpanzee. You're fortunate you got out that way. Okay,
Yeah.
so speaking of people acting like chimps, we have the Newt Gingrich, Megyn Kelly, this whole dust-up. We were talking about it on your show. I know you're friends with Megyn Kelly, Girls Club, and you have pillow fights.
I know him, too.
What's your read on this? I just think it's an example of everything that's wrong with cable news today. I don't think anybody came out of that looking very well.
Well, no, I don't think that anybody came out looking well. I don't think that, honestly. I kind of don't really see, and I apologize for the lighting. I just don't see how bad my lighting is. I actually don't think that Megyn. don't see where she messed up in this. But here's what I do see. Newt Gingrich is a smart guy, albeit that he's named after an ingredient in witch's brew. He's a super smart guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
He should be a little bit, and hear me out, he should be a little bit more sensitive with how the media is going to perceive something like this, because people have to realize women right now, especially women who've grown up under the Clintons in the 90s, they have been hammered for the past 2 decades on all of this social justice warrior crap from the progressive
and by
left.
Bill Clintons
They've been
everywhere.
told that Republicans are all old white men. Well, we know that's not true. They've been told that Republicans are going to make it to where women, you have to just take a lease out on a vagina. It's not even yours anymore. We've been told every lie. I know, think about that one. We've been told everything about sexism, and it all stems from the right. It all stems from Republicans. And so a lot of women, even if they don't necessarily completely embrace that, that's still in the back of their heads, because the left has for so long, Stephen, and you know this, they've controlled publishing houses, they've controlled media, they've controlled academia, they've controlled Hollywood. And so women have been beaten upside the head with these messages. And when you have somebody like Newt Gingrich, who I think overreacted, he went a little bit ham here, like he was trying too hard to be teacher's pet. He didn't need to go that hard. And he needed to understand that the whole crux of this, of her question and her discussing this, was because it's starting to have an effect in the polls even more so, and not even just with progressive women, but with women who've traditionally identified as Republican. And you have to acknowledge it so you can reverse it. And there was a totally better way that he could have handled that question.
I think
he
you're
could have
right.
handled it just like I did.
I think you're right. I do think that Megyn Kelly obviously has some personal issues with Trump, and it's a constant jab fest. And so I have no problem with it, considering how he's gone after her. I don't think she's completely unjustified, but I think she needs to be more honest about it. And I think that's probably what irks Newt. I think Newt came off horribly. But I think Newt's going like, hey, you're biased. And she's like, no, I'm not. We know she is.
Well, to me, I think that she handled it, I think, a lot better than I would have. Or maybe I would have handled it as well. I don't know.
That's because you learned
but I think
from a
she
chimp
handled
who
it for
pinched
the
you
most
at
part,
midnight.
considering how he got pretty with her.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know how else it could have been handled in any other way, because it was kind of a spectacle. It really sort of was a spectacle. I mean, he was basically accusing her of never covering the Clinton stuff. The past couple of times I've been on that program, we've talked about Clinton issues.
Right.
She devoted a whole hour to women discussing Bill Clinton's sexual proclivities and what a pervert he is.
And I think all of that is true, but I think it can all be, hold on a second, I think it can all be true, and it can also be true that she does have personal issues with Donald Trump that she's less than forthcoming about. And I can understand why people would be upset by that. I can see it. I hate that people are so thin-skinned with any criticism of Donald Trump. I don't
particularly because they're fine with Hannity being so pro-Trump.
Right. Well, he's on the Trump payroll. I mean,
I don't know if that's
well, I mean, it was
didn't
Fox News said you can't do that when he was in a Trump campaign ad.
It's a metaphor.
I don't think he got paid for that. I think he just did it because he's just so committed.
So he's a volunteer for the campaign. I don't know if that turns up any better. Hey, great Americans, can I show up here to volunteer? And Fox is like, no.
I brought my lanyard.
No, but I think what it is people know. I don't think Sean Hannity covers that up. So I try to see that from both sides. I really think Newt came off poorly, but I just hate all around. This is cable news. This is why people are tuning out in record numbers. People aren't watching.
If he would have approached it, like if you were Megyn and I was Newt, if he would have approached it and said, Megyn, you know what? I get what you're saying here. I get that you're talking about how this is reflecting in the polls. And I get it that the media has for so long, they have covered up and shrugged off all of these accusations towards Clinton. But Megyn, you have to realize that so many of these women, this is all they have ever heard. Sexism coming from Republicans. That's what progressives say the Republican Party is. Mm-hmm. The entire last election was about binders full of women, which seems really nice compared to some of the stuff that we're seeing from
I don't even know what that means. Does that mean like references?
Done it like that, and he would have immediately planted the seed, and he would have had a lot of women out there going, you know what, that's right. Right.
No, Newt Gingrich's biggest problem is planting his seed.
In some of these narratives.
Yeah, Newt Gingrich's biggest problem is planting his seed. We don't need to encourage him to do any
more.
Oh my
gosh!
I don't get the binders full of.
I popped into that one, didn't I?
I never understood the binders full of women thing. Unless I'm completely wrong, and I know I'm not.
That was Romney, right?
Yeah, it was Romney. He was talking about lists of women's names who either he has worked with or recommended or references.
Right.
I never understood how that's even a thing. And I think that's a great example of where the left will find it no matter what, right? Just kind of like with Dr. Ben Carson, they'll say he's a racist no matter what. Whether you agree with Dr. Ben Carson and everything or not, we know he's not a self-loathing black
It's
man.
just like Pence and the Mexican thing.
Right, Pence and the Mexican thing. There you go, whipping out the Mexican, or bad hombres. There's a lot of that, and I understand what you're saying. Don't give them more ammo. I do think Megyn Kelly probably knew what she was doing when she said the Donald Trump sexual predator line with, Newt Gingrich on there, which to me it's just entertainment.
There are women who are accusing him of that, right or wrong. Those accusations are there, and that needs to be addressed. I mean, here you have, he settled with Paula Jones. Bill Clinton settled with Paula Jones for crying out loud. What was it, upper six figures?
No, she said about Trump. She said, "Is he a sexual predator?" About Trump, and I think she knew what she was doing there because she knew Newt was going to flip his lid.
But I look at it like this. I think that because to me it seemed contentious from the start because they were talking about the polling, particularly polling in a number of these battleground states, and Newt seemed like he was already on the defensive. He needs to dial it back a little bit because he's going to start alienating people if he's so abrasive. I remember in 2012, right when the debate started. In the very beginning, when Newt was going after the media, and we were like, yes, you go get him, Newt. I don't know if that's not his nickname, but whatever. You go get him. And we were all really excited about it. And then every damn debate, he was doing the same shtick over and over again. And we're like, okay, we get it. Just stop now. It's completely played out.
What's so funny is the coalitions that have formed. People hate the establishment. Newt couldn't. As a matter of fact, Ann Coulter constantly just used to ream Newt when she was on Hannity. Yeah. Newt and Dick Morris.
He tossed a seat in New York's 23rd congressional district. He backed a Democrat, Didi Skozafava, against Doug Hoffman. That was the very first race that I got involved raising money for. And Stephen, you remember the hell that he caught for that because Didi Skozafava was a gun-grabbing Democrat who just flipped over and decided to run as a Republican. And for whatever reason, unbeknownst to the rest of us, Newt Gingrich decided to back Skozafava.
Well,
and Newt Gingrich, he wanted to meet with grassroots. He reached out to me repeatedly back between 2008 and 2010. He wanted to meet up with grassroots. No grassroots wanted to meet with
and that's what I wanted to say. I did work with that. We'll bring back Dana after the break, Dana Radio. But Newt Gingrich is funny. If you're talking about establishment, and I've been at Fox News, I worked with some nonprofits for a while and would volunteer. He is the one guy with the reputation of Washington, D.C. insider, and you do not trust. That's just, whether it's true or not, that's always been his reputation, and a lot of this campaign is based on reputations. That's how people pick who to hate. Well, if you can't stand establishment Republicans, you gotta file Newt Gingrich under it. Be consistent. Dana Radio, Dana Loesch. We will be back after this.
For breaking news on Louder with Crowder, I'm Harry Matheson. One to never shy away from controversy and blazing trails, Samantha Bee is breaking through yet another glass ceiling today by being the first woman to ever literally break a glass ceiling live on primetime television. We take you now live to the spectacle. You know, the word awesome is thrown around so flippantly now it's lost all meaning. It once meant to invoke a feeling of awe that truly couldn't be put into words, and I think we can all say that we are filled to the brim with that emotion tonight. Samantha Bee, you make us proud to be American. Well, keep your breath as the story unfolds. Amen.
When it's time to party, we will party hard.
Glad to be back. DanaRadio.com. DanaRadio.com is where you can find our next guest, Dana Loesch. Okay, switch gears a little bit here.
Yeah.
We were talking about the Podesta emails. It's so hard to keep track. It's like Nancy Drew novels. No matter what, it's always bad. The one that you were talking about off air, and we included this in our WikiLeaks top 5 video, which is done relatively well. It has like 500,000 plays on there. But no one cared about this one. And you were it seems to me like it's the most important.
It blows my mind that nobody did.
Yeah.
Because so one of the things that came out, and in fact this email, I mean, for at least it got some media play today. So Cheryl Mills was talking to John Podesta, and one of the things, go back to when Barack Obama told the FBI that he was completely unaware that Hillary Clinton had this private server. He didn't know. He's busy doing presidential stuff. Well, as it turned out, not only was he aware, but he was using his secret email address, and he would be emailing her on this private server as well. As to whether or not he received any classified information, I'm sure that that's yet to be uncovered, because I think right now there's enough to at least provoke some sort of congressional inquiry into how much the president knew and when he knew it, because so far we know that there's a ton of classified stuff that had been shared on this. But one of the emails that was uncovered and published was that Cheryl Mills was telling John Podesta, oh my goodness, I think the direct quote was, we have to clean up this mess, POTUS emails on there. And she's talking about Hillary's server and how emails from Barack Obama were on the server. Now, I spoke with Louis Gohmert about this 3 weeks ago, because the question was, well, whether or not Barack Obama ever emailed her private server, because if he lied when being questioned by the FBI, if he lied to the law as to whether or not he knew of the existence of the server or had ever sent anything to it, Louis Gohmert was arguing that this was actionable and that there is something that Congress could do about this. And it seems that it is, of everything that has taken place, it's one of the most obvious actions that they could take, is to go after, get him under oath on this and say, all right, here you are, you lied to us. And when we were conducting this investigation, and you said that you were unaware of this server, because then now it poses the question, okay, so how many times did he email?
Right. And this is important too. What it also adds to it is, first off, it explains a lot, and he's the only one who could invoke that executive privilege to not release some of these emails or to not have them examined. That's what's important, because he's the only person, because he has executive privilege, we talked about this, who would be able to say, no, we're not going to do that.
Well, not just that, Stephen, don't forget too, he's the only one that basically commands what Loretta Lynch does. Loretta Lynch isn't going to, she's not going to take the recommendation from the FBI as to whether or not to indict Hillary Clinton unless Barack Obama gives her the okay to do so. So that shares a lot more insight as to why wouldn't, because that was the question we all asked. Well, why wouldn't Barack Obama doesn't like Hillary Clinton? I'm sure that there are other people in the Democrat Party he would like to see run. He could just get rid of her politically like this, but he's compromised as well, and so that's why he can't.
Yeah, I also think there were emails back and forth with him and Hillary about their preferred brand of cigarettes, and he didn't want to get in trouble with Michelle. No, because well, she'd take something out of the closet that would be it would be unsavory.
Can't go down that road, not again.
No, we can't go down that road. He cannot. He is a fragile man, and his ego can't take it. No, I think it really does explain a lot, and I do think there's some of this right now. With all of the, and I have to choose my words carefully, with all of these leaks and all of these hidden camera videos, some of them are really, some of them have been really important. Some of them have, I would say, created revelations for a lot of people. And some of them have been built up and have been clickbait, and particularly with the WikiLeaks, we've even seen some that are entirely fabricated or flat out lies.
Yeah, like the Chelsea's a brat. We all knew that. Next.
Right. Yeah. What was the one they talked about, manipulating the polls with oversampling? Well, that's actually not what that email says. That
was from 2008, that email, and they were talking about internals. I mean, that's not incredibly
Well, and they were talking about trying to get oversampling because they were trying to get a feel on, like, African-American voters or Latinos. That's common practice. Let's oversample Latinos so we can see where they are in this election.
Well, that's about weighted averages, too. Right. I mean, you're talking about ratios, and you're talking about making sure that you understand a segment of the population within the broader voting electorate so that you can adjust your get-out-the-vote effort accordingly. I mean, that's every candidate does that. That's nothing new. And furthermore, they weren't talking about having that as a public poll. That was internal for them so they could figure out where to go. But here's the thing. I don't want to see Hillary Clinton in the White House. I definitely don't, because all hell is going to break loose. I particularly also don't want to lose the Senate because I'd like to keep my guns. But this is why I get a little bit aggravated if something's oversold. There is so much to go with this woman on. There's so much, and I'm sure that there's a lot more that's out there. Freaking out over whether or not Chelsea Clinton's a brat, that to me, that's irrelevant. But I understand why they're doing it. I don't agree with it, and I don't trust WikiLeaks at all, because don't forget Julian Assange and collateral damage and the way they went after our military. But they're trying to poison the well between Hillary Clinton and her base, that progressive base that she's going to rely on to get her policies out there should she take over the White House. one of the reasons I don't really trust Julian Assange with some of this is because to me, and whether or not she was facetious about droning him, I mean, Hillary Clinton would drone anyone, I think, even her mother. But the larger point is that his grudge against her seems to be a personal one, rather a principled one. And I tend to trust a principled grudge more, because a personal one, to me, that seems that's malleable. That's something.
Well, that's what I was saying about Megyn Kelly and
that.
Donald Trump. I think there is some personal grudges there, and that's the exact same point that I do apply across the board. But I'm just like, I just wish people were honest about it. I do think you're probably right about Assange, and you hit the nail on the head. That's what we've been talking about. When people overblow everything, and let's just talk about overblowing, not even just the lying that happens right now on both sides. The flat-out lying because you get more clicks. We've talked about that. People will just say something. Hillary Clinton, we know, confirmed she has Parkinson's. No, she didn't. But she lied about the well, not bronchitis. What was it? Pneumonia. Yeah, she lied about the pneumonia. That's enough. Why would she lie? Let's talk about that. Word. Instead, we have to go, okay, hold on. We're not with the people who are saying she has cancer and AIDS and swine flu. So let's get rid of the lying for a second. Put that on the shelf. Just the overblowing of stories or overselling or over-anticipating really does hurt the actual issues that should be discussed.
No, I agree. I think it does as well. I think overselling something, it takes oxygen away from some of these other stories that need it. For instance, this huge one, I have no idea why people aren't blowing that up, because to me, I mean, particularly when you had a congressional member who was telling me that it is actionable and they would be interested in looking into that and pushing for that with their House majority. That seems to me that that's above the fold news. That seems to me that that's a lot bigger than focusing on poisoning the well between Hillary Clinton and some of her supporters, Podesta and everyone.
We have to let you go. You know, we have these breaks, but above the fold, good wording, because a lot of folds with Hillary Clinton. DanaRadio.com. Dana Loesch, you did it with the seeds and the folds. DanaRadio.com. We must go. Hey there, it's me. How often do you hear me do live reads? Not that often. We talked about this last week. Not Gay Jared was there. And it was funny, people started saying, oh, you're selling Doomsday Prepper stuff. The opposite. I'm not a Doomsday Prepper. The preparewithcr.com promotion, we've been very clear that that's not where I'm lining up with this. But a few people did ask me to talk about my experiences with the Montreal ice storm. So again, the promotion right now is preparewithcr.com, $99, shipped free. Or you can call 888-457-3453. But why would you? Just go to preparewithcr.com.
Phones.
And we've talked about this, the Montreal ice storm. People say, well, can you talk about that more? Well, let me I remember it like it was yesterday. My grandfather died because he died on December 18th. I remember that because that was the last day of school, and he was supposed to pick me up from a ski trip, and he didn't. So I remember it was just a rough Christmas. The day we were supposed to go back to school, the ice storm hit. And for those of you who don't know, it was a 96 ice storm in Montreal. Lots of people died. My dad will be on later to talk about that. So some ways are actually kind of funny in retrospect because people didn't know what they were doing. So remember what happened right away. No water, no heat, no electricity, no ability to get anywhere because the roads were just completely done. So I remember drove at a turtle's pace to my Aunt Rejeanne's house, out a little bit further out, not in the country, but further out from the suburbs in St. Bruno. We went there first because she was the only people we knew who had a fireplace, and I think they had a stovetop furnace. So they were able to heat up food, and we all slept in the living room for a while. Well, they ran out of firewood, and they didn't have any food, and there was nothing left. Now, we were fortunate. Again, this is preparewithcr.com. The promotion is $99, shipped free to your house, 30-day food supply. We were fortunate because there was a guy named Mr. Monjo who owned the properties that my grandfather managed right before he died. And he was gone to Florida or something. This guy was really wealthy but very generous. And he had a room, I think, permanently at the Courtyard Marriott. All I know is we lucked out. We went downtown to the Courtyard Marriott. And I remember staying there and walking downstairs, and there was no food. I remember the buffet, just metal buffet trays. It was empty, like an Indian buffet after lunch when there's nothing left. I went to the store with my dad. They were telling us to boil all our water. This is at the Courtyard Marriott in downtown Montreal. This is a nice hotel. In an urban area, you're talking millions of people. Montreal's a big city. People are boiling water or running it through their electric coffee makers in the hotel room. We went to the store. There was nothing. No food, no water. But I thought the ice storm was awesome because I didn't have to go to school. And at that grocery store, they did have a Nintendo Power. So I went back to my hotel room, and I were reading Nintendo Power where we were drinking lukewarm water that had been boiled and there was no food around. And that's really what we're talking. We're not talking about some kind of natural. This happened in my lifetime. I know people in L.A. My brother's been there with the earthquakes. Just these natural disasters that happen. A lot of times you don't even think about them, so it pays to be prepared. I just remember that when I was a kid, and we thought, man, we should be a little bit.
I lived in North Carolina with a fluke snowstorm, blizzard.
Same thing?
Same thing. North Carolina, they weren't prepared for that.
No.
We were all stuck there. People piling in Jeeps just trying to get food. I mean, it's not an unreasonable thing
no,
to
it's
happen.
not unreasonable. And the truth is, I'm lazy.
Ridiculous.
Because I know a lot of friends who buy canned goods and stuff, and you could probably do it for cheaper, but this is just a box, preparewithcr.com.
Simple.
$99,
Click.
shipped
Done.
free, 140 servings, 30 days. And you know what? You talk about wanting to support the show. Everything is free. They really are a good sponsor to the show, and it is one of the few products that have come our way. Believe me, we get a lot. Not doing the catheters or the selling gold.
No. They make you try them for one.
Yes, that is worth it. So
pudding was
preparewithcr.com,
okay.
$99, 30-day food supply kit, ship free. My dad will be on later to talk more about the ice storm. After this, Donald Trump's path to win.
For breaking news on Louder with Crowder, I'm Perry Matheson. In blazing trails for women everywhere, Samantha Bee has broken another glass ceiling today in being the first female late-night host canceled due to horrible ratings as well as a distinct lack of comedy. In an historic act of defiance, Samantha Bee has also decided to be the first female late-night host to physically reveal her vagina on air. We take you now live to the spectacle.
You ready for it? Here she comes.
Wow. In all my years of broadcasting, I can definitively say I've never been more proud. Truly a historic moment for women across this country. For those listening terrestrially, Samantha Bee right now is in fact physically displaying her vagina and labia right now. Just, oh my, if one word were to come to mind to describe this performance, brave. Brave is the word I would use. Samantha Bee, with flagrant disregard for human decency or clearly professional makeup assistance, Donald Trump won't be grabbing that anytime soon, and America thanks you. Samantha Bee will keep you abreast as the story unfolds. As proudly as ever, for Louder with Crowder, I'm Perry Matheson.
Get excited. Here we go.
Glad to be back. Glad to be back. Second hour. We're not going to have a third hour. We'll have a bonus online segment for the Halloween Spooktacular because we are preparing for a very big live stream of the election.
Yes.
Coming up, not next Tuesday, of course, the Tuesday afterward. We're going to have an all-star, we're going to have crazy guest list.
It's crazy. There's a whole lineup.
On election night,
Yeah.
Shapiro, Clavin, Gavin, Anthony Cumia, Nick DiPaolo, Dean Cain, all the Louder with Crowder team.
That's like a
Donald
mile of
Trump and Hillary
awesomeness.
Clinton, they're going to be calling this. We're going to have them call into the program, depending on who wins the states.
That's
to
a get,
provide
though. That's
commentary.
exclusive.
Well, we get the scoops.
We do.
We have so many.
We have the right numbers, the right emails.
We do.
For you.
WikiLeaks. We got some leverage. Okay, so a lot of people have been asking, why are people saying Donald Trump doesn't have a chance to win the election? Are the polls rigged? What's the truth? I don't really want to get into the poll situation right now. All the polls that people have pointed to, for example, IBD, Rasmussen, none of them have Trump winning anymore. And that's not good. But the polls notwithstanding, this comes down to the Electoral College, and this comes down to the likelihood of winning 270 states and who has the easiest path to victory. Now, there are a lot of electoral maps out there. We're using 270 to win because it's pretty accurate. There are some that have Trump with fewer states. CNN has him with more states starting out. So I've got this on my screen. I want to go through it with you so that people understand the likelihood and the path that Donald Trump needs to win this election. So that way when you see, well, why does this state matter? What's the likelihood here? What's the significance? You can have a better grasp
What's the history of
on
some
it.
of the states?
What's the history of some of the states? So let's look at this map right here. They need 270 to win. So we're starting off, as you can see, Hillary Clinton starting off with 258, Donald Trump with 157. Now that's not that bad if you have enough swing states that lean right. You know, typically Democrats have more states solid in their back pocket. Big reason for that is, you know, East, West Coast, very left. And the Midwest is no longer conservative. It's no longer the heartland of America. It's union run.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't understand the
Especially
amount
that
of money.
That Rust Belt?
Yeah.
Very hard.
Michigan
Very hard.
is, when people say Donald Trump could win Michigan, no. People don't understand. I think he appeals to some union people, but the AFL-CIO, if you look at how much money they're putting in to support Hillary,
it's unbelievable.
It is unreal.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. The amount of literature that these people get in their mail every single day.
That's right, because you have
I have friends and family who are and the
family.
literature just never ends of vote Hillary, vote Hillary,
and the
vote
intimidation.
Hillary.
Intimidation.
Yeah,
if you're a union member,
it's very
and you
much a
vote
mob
Republican,
mentality.
It is a mob mentality, and then that's
all Detroit is.
Yeah, and I think that would change a lot, obviously, if union. But boom. Anonymous voting, period, no card check, and unions, of course, fight against. A lot of people don't realize that. Unions want to be able to know how their union members voted, which to me is like, I don't understand the rule for this at all. What are you looking around? Do we have a fire break out?
No, you're good.
Okay, so Hillary Clinton, 258, Donald Trump, 157. What does he need to do? On this map, Utah and Arizona are up for grabs. Now, if you go back to my show about 4 months ago, I said, I think you'll be surprised. Donald Trump obviously won't win New York or California. People who think that are delusional, but I think Arizona could go into play. I mentioned Utah because of the Mormons, but Arizona, Utah, because once you remove the evangelical Christian voters, you're left with Democrats and Latinos. More so Latinos in Arizona. In Utah, you're left with Democrats. And you're seeing with Utah right now, Evan McMullen, a third-party candidate, could be the first person since '68, I believe, to take those electoral votes. There's a strong chance.
Talk about a lot of power that guy has. I mean,
he does.
You don't like to, it's not comfortable to talk about, but
he wants to be a spoiler, and Mormons are very loyal to other Mormons in this election. You see that. So they just are not. But let's assume here, so Donald Trump's at 157. Let's assume Utah goes to Donald Trump. Okay? He's at 163. Arizona, the recent polls have had Hillary leading in Arizona. Arizona has been one of the most reliably red states. Again, a lot of evangelical voters not voting for Donald Trump. Not enough enthusiasm. Hillary has a great ground game there, so she's ahead in the polls. I still think Donald Trump will win Arizona. So let's add Arizona to Donald Trump's side of the ledger. Nevada is very likely going to go to Hillary Clinton. No poll, not a single one has had Donald Trump ahead yet. So let's give that, as you can see right here, Nevada to Hillary Clinton. She's already at 264. I think Donald Trump is going to keep Georgia, so he's at 190. I really do think. I think he's going to win Ohio. Very likely that brings him to 208. I think Donald Trump wins Ohio. I think he wins Iowa, of course. So 214 for Donald Trump. What's left? Donald Trump looks like he's losing North Carolina. I think Donald Trump could win North Carolina. Now, it's pivotal. He needs to win North Carolina. Okay? Brings him to 229. Donald Trump needs to win North Carolina. Here's kind of the thing with Donald Trump. If at any point during during election night he doesn't win North Carolina, he doesn't win Ohio, or he doesn't win Florida, or he doesn't win Arizona, it's done. The night is over. So don't let anyone lie to you. That's the truth. Now, I think he will win those. I think he is likely to win Florida. I'd say he's 40% likely. Hillary's probably 60% likely to win Florida. I think of the swing states, Donald Trump is most likely to keep North Carolina in the red column, to win Ohio, and to win Florida. So let's give him Florida. That brings him to 258. I don't see Donald Trump winning at all Pennsylvania. No poll has had him ahead, at least 5 points behind. Pennsylvania is not a swing state anymore. The last time it went red was 30 years ago, was Reagan. And it hasn't even been close. As a matter of fact, if you look at Pennsylvania polling, they are usually overly favorable to Republicans, and then it's a blowout. It just pulls away. So I don't think he's going to win Pennsylvania. So what does he need? Well, he needs to win all of these, and he needs to pull a state out from under Hillary Clinton. Mostly, if he were to do that, what would he need? What would be the strongest chance? Probably Wisconsin. You see with Scott Walker, that's the part of the Rust Belt that I would say maybe has a chance. It's very unlikely, but let's give him Wisconsin. So, with Donald Trump, we've given him Arizona, Utah, Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, Idaho, and Wisconsin. And he still doesn't have 270. So, without Pennsylvania, without every single swing state, Pennsylvania, Florida, Ohio, and he holds every state Romney got, he can't win. And even if he pulls one out, the rug out from under Hillary Clinton with Wisconsin, it's not enough. He's still 2 votes shy. Now, so what does this mean? Does it mean that he can't win? It does not mean that he can't win. What it does mean, however, we have New Hampshire. Actually, I guess if he wins New Hampshire, that would put him over 272. So there you go. That's a possible path. He needs to run the board and steal something from Hillary Clinton.
When we say when he needs to win those, that does come down to the voters. If you are active in those states and you have, and if you want to see that happen,
it comes down to you. And it doesn't help you to say the polls are, no, listen, this is what he needs. So he needs to win every single swing state and probably steal one from Hillary Clinton. And if he does that, it will be a razor-thin victory. All Hillary Clinton needs to do is win one swing state. Just one. At this point, she just needs Pennsylvania, Ohio, or Florida. Any of those, she wins. Actually, if you look at this map, if she wins Wisconsin, because this map didn't have Wisconsin in the blue column, which most states do.
And for a few people wondering, some of those ones at the stripes, those are they actually have split votes.
Yeah, they split votes.
Yeah.
Well, kind of like in the primaries, where sometimes it's winner take all. That's not necessarily the case. But even then, those aren't significant enough to give it to him.
No,
so
very small.
The reason we say this is it to discourage you? No, it's if you're in those states and you want Donald Trump to win and you want Hillary to lose, as we all do, you need to be hyperly active. And you need to understand that the margin for error here is thinner than any recent presidential race. And that there are states that have been put in play that haven't been in play for decades because Donald Trump isn't the strongest candidate, particularly in those states that are solid red states. I say this because it's important for people to know what the Electoral College means, what the likely path to victory. Yeah, you have some establishment people, like the Karl Roves and the Newt Gingriches and you used to have the Dick Morris. I don't know what he's been doing lately. He's probably somewhere in a massage parlor with some feet.
I think so. Hopefully a pair at
but
least.
It's one thing to say, oh, these people are so high and mighty on their... They don't know anything. Well, they know something. And this is reality. This is what needs to happen on election night. So we'll be here all of election night on Tuesday night, starting at 7, live stream, all-star guest list, and we'll be going live all night. You get the East Coast states in first. I'm telling you, if Ohio or Florida or North Carolina doesn't go to Trump, you can probably call that election. Those are likely to be the first ones that come in.
Just because when they pull
probably
close.
North Carolina,
Florida.
Florida.
It's close at 7, I believe.
Yeah, and then Ohio.
Yep.
Is Ohio? Well, it's Ohio. It's part Central and part Eastern.
Nope, it's all Eastern.
It's all Eastern.
All Eastern. Yep.
Well, you know why I got that wrong? In Cincinnati, you're right next to Kentucky, and if you're on one side of the airport, you're in Central Time. My phone goes nuts.
Huh.
Yeah, whenever I was in Cincinnati, I used to do work in Cincinnati, and that airport is the worst airport in the country.
That's screwy with time stuff like that when you're right on the border.
Yeah, it really is rough with your phone. That's why you can't rely on the computers, not only because they're not reliable in timekeeping, but Skynet could take over us all.
It's true.
How much time do we have to?
We got a minute 50.
Okay, well, we can't go into the next topic. The next topic is going to be about college humor and people who hate America, which, in case you didn't know, we're not among those people. So you tweet me, what do you think Donald Trump's path to victory, what do you think is the most likely path to victory? Do you think it's North Carolina, Ohio, Florida? Well, okay. Well, let's assume he wins all those. His path to victory really comes down to 1 to 2 states. Do you think it's Pennsylvania and Wisconsin? Do you think it's Michigan and North Carolina? Do you think it's Michigan and Wisconsin? Do you think it's Virginia? Assuming he wins all the other states, it comes down to needing at least one more state. What do you think is the most likely path to victory for Donald Trump? A lot of people have different opinions on this.
And it is interesting to see how he's going to do in some of these states without the support of you've got Kasich in Ohio. You've got Scott Walker in Wisconsin. I don't think either one of them have endorsed him. I don't think
John Kasich hasn't.
John Kasich hasn't, I know. And the governor of Florida,
Rick Scott? No, the guy. I'm trying to think. The guy looks like Skeletor. The name's always gonna. I always
scary
say
looking.
Horrible white guy names are the hardest for me to remember.
But I love that smackdown he had at the girl in Starbucks.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's a rewindable moment.
People in Florida don't hate him. Everyone else hates him, but people in Florida really like him.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how that does, and interesting to see you're watching the Rubio race down there too, which obviously kind of plays into.
Well, that's a double-digit lead for Rubio. Which that's important to note. Like you said, that's a referendum on Rubio's national campaign at a state level. So it's interesting to see that he's so far ahead. 10 points ahead. Up next, we're going to talk about college humor, and we will be reading costume results live.
Coming soon.
All right, Mr.
Crowder, how are we doing today? Have you rolled over for me now?
Oh.
Now, have we subscribed to louderwithcrowder.com for all your daily news and podcast needs?
Yeah, I subscribe on iTunes and I bookmarked the site. It's a good one.
Good. Little stick here.
Oh.
There we go, like a champ.
So that's the Ebola shot?
No Zika.
Oh, so I'm immunized against Zika now?
No, you have Zika.
What do you mean
I just gave you Zika.
It's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. Come cheer up my nights, come cheer up my nights. It's better to have loved and lost. It's better to have loved and lost. Captain Jean-Luc Picard and never to have loved at all. The Federation starship, come cheer up my nights, come cheer up my nights. It's better to have loved.
Glad to be back. That's another song, newest song by Pogo.
Yes,
great
great
friend of the show.
Great music video if you haven't checked that one out because it's very well done.
Very well done.
Hilarious.
And if you're a Star Trek fan,
You'll
even
love
better.
it.
We have that female Trekkie who sent in her costume. She's one of the top costumes thus far. We have seen some great costumes. One of them dressed up like you, not gay, Jared.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a
I didn't
white
see this one
tank
yet.
top with glasses. It's pretty lazy, but they look like
It is lazy, but if you can pull it off, it's a winning formula.
You can't pull off the not gay Jared look.
That's true.
It's increasingly difficult as he grows with age. I mature like fine wine. Jared matures like milk. So we have...
It's not inaccurate.
This is not a new video, but it's been making the rounds for whatever reason. Have you had this one forwarded to you?
I have, and I thought it was new for a while until I realized, this has been around a while. They just kind of recycled this one because it seemed appropriate to them.
It comes from College
Do
Humor.
crap on America.
Yeah.
Which is always appropriate.
It comes from College, especially when they're Canadians like Samantha Bee. It comes from College Humor, who's really just become an arm of the DNC now, like Funny or Die. I mean, they were doing the Adam Ruins Everything was doing the anti-Trump stuff.
Yep.
He was doing the student aid, why you should register, how to milk from the government teat. Funny or Die did the awful Trump mockumentary with Johnny Depp, who was terrible. I'm so glad that it revealed what an awful actor Johnny Depp is.
Oh, it was painful.
You silly goth kids.
painful.
I'm so alternative. I like Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter because it's so alternative. Tim Burton he's a visionary. He just stole Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. He took that vibe of German cinema and applied it to the United... Anyway.
We digress.
So this is a video that's been making the rounds, and I think it's been making the rounds for a couple of reasons. Leftists like forwarding it, but I've gotten it from some Trump people. Because I think they agree with some of the anti-American sentiments. A lot of more of the populists who really sort of still hate the George Bush. So I've gotten it from all angles. And then a few people said, my friends, they showed this in school. They forwarded it to me. Could you address this? So here we go. We'll give it our best shot. This is the video from College Humor. What's it called?
America is a bad boyfriend.
America is a bad boy. Oh, all right, let's roll it.
Amy, we've been friends for a really long time now, which is why I feel comfortable telling you that I think you're in a bad relationship.
What? No, that's just because you're on the outside looking in.
No, you deserve better.
My relationship with my country is
Right away, women aren't
great.
funny.
I love America.
Hey, babe.
How did you know she was here?
I read her emails. Who the fuck is texting you? Oh.
Darn it, you gotta
It's your
bleep
mom.
this,
That's-
Jared.
I know.
All right, hold on, pause
You let him
it.
look-
So right away, we're getting to America reads the emails. Okay.
Gotta screen this stuff.
let's be honest. I mean, you got to screen this crap. English citizen, snooty, diverse, right away. So you've got the black English citizen who speaks properly in a measured tone. The America comes in like a douche at the bar, an abusive boyfriend. Let's just be clear as to what we're portraying here. Spying, and the implication throughout this entire video, right, is this is exclusive to the United States. That's why the British person is offended, the English person. Why, how could you be with a country like this? Do you understand that the British government has spied on its citizens? Do people not realize that? It's unbelievable. And another thing, in Britain, you can be detained for police up to 28 days without being charged. 14 without parliamentary action, 28 with. So this idea that they don't do it in Europe or they don't do it in the UK, of course they do. This isn't exclusive to the United States. The reason it bothers Americans more is because we value freedom.
Yeah.
It was a controversy. They're spying on us. That's a problem, NSA. particularly a problem under Barack Obama, who extended the Patriot Act and then expanded it to people who disagreed with him politically, no longer just terrorists. So there's that. So let's be clear about what's exclusive to the United States. It's not. You started it, Britain. Let's keep going.
Phone.
I don't like it, but what can I do?
Anyway, I need a beer. Do you have any money? I'm really in debt. Thank you.
I really don't like the way he treats you. He's always getting into fights.
He's not getting into fights, he's breaking up fights. Sometimes by starting fights.
He's in a fight right now.
Nobody messes with my friends.
All right, so here we go. A couple of things just happened there because we're trying to roll through this relatively quickly. Sorry that you have to listen to the low-energy, awful college humor video, but this is making the rounds. In debt, that's true. Guess who's opposing the national deficit, racking up the debt? It's always been Republicans. It's been conservatives. We're the ones who have a problem with it. Yeah, Reagan racked it up. I'll give you that. That wasn't very conservative of him. But in the last 2-3 decades, it's been conservatives and Republicans. The people who they then immediately go on to lampoon, saying that America starts fights. They go in and start fights so they can break it up. Here's the deal. The United States does not go in and start fights simply so they can break it up. They break up fights because, Britain, you can't. This is the biggest determining factor, too, in Europe when Bernie Sanders would praise these Norwegian countries or when he would praise places like Germany or Sweden. They're not in charge of their own national security. The United States is. Let's not fool ourselves into thinking that NATO is keeping. Okay, the United States is the protector of the free world, and that changes your national debt. It changes your expenditures when you have to protect the rest of the free world. I don't support all the wars that we've had in other countries. I don't think that we should be fighting wars that aren't in our best interest. Again, that's the mean, evil, capitalist conservative in me, because leftists like us being interventionists when it comes to providing more in AIDS funding, more in natural disaster. Yeah, in the gorilla. More in natural disaster funding than any country ever. They like that part. But they're not interventionists when it comes to blowing terrorists away. I say no more of that. That's where I'm with Donald Trump. Let's keep going.
He never follows through with anything he says he's gonna do.
He's just been really busy, okay? He's got like a million voices telling him what to do. Well, 538.
He cares more about his rich business buddies than he does about you.
I can't take this. All right, don't tell anybody.
America's my country, okay? He's
here we go.
The smartest.
Debatable.
Strongest.
Not important.
He has so many Olympic medals. And guns.
I don't know that that's a good thing.
The thing that you don't understand about America is...
I love how right away they just skim over strongest. That doesn't matter. Of course it matters. The United States is the strongest country. We're the only great superpower the world has ever known who has used our superpower for good. We're the only empire who's actually given more than we've taken. We're the anti-empire. We go in, we liberate countries, whether you like it or not as a stance of foreign policy. I don't like it, and we ask nothing of them other than the land in which to bury our dead. You know what a war for oil looks like? You go in, you conquer, you kill the people, you take their oil. We don't take their oil. We do transactions. Guns, is that a good thing? Well, it is pretty good considering that you're defenseless in Britain, considering that you have record rapes and skyrocketing violent crime against your citizens from refugees because you're being politically correct and more tolerant, unlike your American brethren. It is unbelievable to me that college humor would create something like this and be totally and completely unaware of themselves. They go, we don't have enough time because we're bringing on Papa Crowder, right?
Papa Crowder coming
Crowder
up.
next. They go on to talk about free speech. There is no free speech anywhere in the United States. We didn't have time to get to that. There's a guy arrested in the UK for singing Kung Fu Fighting because it offended a Chinese person. And he wasn't even Chinese. Be back.
Thank you, colleagues and esteemed members of the press, for attending this late press conference on short notice, hosted by me, Scooter Littlefoot, representative of the LPDAG Little People Advocacy Group. Can we get them? Can you lower the mic? Yeah. Thank you. As has been brought to my attention, as well as those of the little people and or dwarf community, the recent election events have not only been embarrassing, but lascivious and blatantly insulting to our community. As you well know, Hillary Rodham Clinton, Secretary of State and possibly future President of the United States, was seen on a Latino program being served on hand and foot inhumanely by a dwarf with tequila. These offensive stereotypes must not go unchecked and have done irreparable damage to the dwarf community.
Yes.
Yes, hi. Question here. Sorry, from HuffPost Live. Isn't the correct term midgets?
No, that is an outdated term that is both offensive and borderline slanderous.
Okay, so what term do you prefer?
Little people or dwarves.
But isn't dwarf worse than midget? Because that's like a mythical creature.
No.
From like Lord of the Rings.
No.
Or Harry Potter.
No, that is the medical terminology because of dwarfism.
Yeah, but that's so much worse, though.
The point remains that the mistreatment of my community must no longer be allowed to go unchecked, and that is why I would like to formally denounce Hillary Rodham Clinton and submit my endorsement for one Donald J. Trump.
Mr. Littlefoot, Mr. Littlefoot, this is an incredible turn of events. Can you please tell us who officially you represent?
The Lollipop Guild.
Wake up, it's fly.
Reach the wizard.
It's fly. Wake up,
Reach the wizard.
There we go. Not Gay Jared is trying to get Papa Crowder on the line. You let us know when that happens. Apparently, we're having some difficulty. He's being a little bit difficult. We're announcing the costume contest winner later on in the program. I have this week. Obama, you know this. Obamacare premiums are. Damn it, CNN. One thing is, we try to use the internet. And every time I go to Breitbart or CNN or Fox News, the autoplay video ads. Can you stop it?
They're awful.
They're just terrible. They are the most intrusive crap. We don't do those at louderwithcrowder.com. When I got my ad guy, I said, listen, no pop-ups, no pop-unders, no redirects, no autoplay video ads. There was someone who had autoplay video ads. Joe Rogan told me he was promptly fired. In record time, he was fired. All right, I muted it. Obamacare premiums are set to skyrocket an average of 22% for the benchmark Silver Plan in 2017. Silver Plan. It's funny when they use that terminology. Do we have Papa Crowder?
Let's see. Do we have him?
Oh, yes, you do.
Hold on. Make him shut up and let's get his intro.
Shut up.
All right, we'll talk about Obamacare. This is how dare we that? When you hear this track, you know it's Pops Crowder.
Oh. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
I got the chronic by the
Throw your hands in the air like you's a true player.
So the honeys getting money, playing fellas like dummies.
Yeah.
Oh, you missed the baby line.
It's still there.
Please don't shoot up the place.
It's still there.
All right, there we go. Something about women having his baby. But that would be my mother.
Yes.
Pops Crowder, thanks for being with us. What was going on? The line wasn't working.
That is my song. I don't know. I could hear Not Gay Jared real well, but he couldn't hear me. So
that was weird.
Hey, you're married to immigrants. Why do you hate illegal
immigrants?
You're married to an immigrant. Why do you hate illegal immigrants so much, Dad?
Well, she's not illegal though, so we've walked through the process with her, as I had to do the other side. I had to learn the language and sign the guest book.
You were horrible at it.
So, yeah, I was.
It was embarrassing. The guy working at Taco Bueno has nothing on my dad's French.
Oh, really?
Oh my gosh. But he tried. It was a valiant effort. I'll give him that. So we were talking about that in Montreal. A lot of people have been asking with the preparewithcr.com, the ads of the emergency food kit. They've been asking me here about the ice storm. And I remember saying, Dad, I called him this week saying, Dad, do I have this right? I remember we went to the hotel and he was going, yeah. And then you were telling me about these crazy ways that, people were dying in the ice storm. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. I think you pretty well nailed it, but I heard you earlier in the show talking about it, but when you wipe out communication along with everything else, that's when the dominoes start to fall, and that's what happened. People didn't know not to burn stuff indoors to stay warm and to cook.
I wouldn't know.
That was fucking. No, you wouldn't know. And that's why one of those wind-up radios is a good idea in those times. But so people didn't know what to do, and they were bringing gas grills into the house and using them to heat up the house with a propane grill, cooking in there. So costing all
Wait,
kinds
is that
of
bad?
problems.
I thought because I was going to get a little Coleman grill. Is that not allowed?
It's not
I
advised.
think the Coleman's pretty efficient. I think that's pretty good. You mean the pump?
You have to ventilate though.
The old school.
Oh,
yeah.
You do have to ventilate it. Okay, so don't follow my advice if I said that last week, people. Okay, sorry, Dad. Continue.
So that was the big problem. People didn't know You covered a lot of the stuff, but, we ran out of wood, as you remember. We ran out of fuel. All generators were sold out, and no product was coming into the city because people couldn't land.
Right.
And it was incredible.
Well, tell me what you were talking about the buildings.
We didn't expect it.
People with their cars. That was insane. In the
People
apartment buildings.
in urban areas, like in Montreal, they live in high-rises where very often the parking is underground.
Yeah.
They'd go underground, start their car to get a little warmth because they're freezing. Say, we'll just go on in the car. We'll tune up a little bit. We'll come back up in the house. People were doing that
institute
in
a little
mass.
global warming.
The carbon monoxide was rising through condo towers. Entire buildings had to be rushed to the hospital that was ill-equipped, didn't have the medicine, didn't have the... And then we had, if you remember this, Stephen, maybe not, a flu that ran through town, and the hospitals couldn't treat folks. It was just crazy.
Oh, I do remember that. Because we were worried because Grandma was with us in the hotel room, and we were voting her off the island. We wanted to kick her out.
It's like a House of Cards scene on an apocalyptic level.
Think about that, though. You know, old Mr. Denkins is tired of his life. He goes in his own car, puts a pipe in the muffler, and runs it through the main driver's window like a good guy. He doesn't disrupt anyone. He ends it, right? And we all respect him. You went out on your own terms. But when you have 50
you write
people,
nice things on the tombstone when that happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
But when you have 50 people doing it in a parking garage, and it's all going up in the building. And hundreds of people were hospitalized.
Just smoking the Moabbits out.
Right.
How many people died? Was it hundreds or was it thousands?
I'm not sure those people are even edible if they die of carbon monoxide poisoning. I don't know.
Good
I'm no
Lord.
doctor. But.
This is horrible.
Canada's a sick place.
It's sick, Mom. It's a sick thing.
But it was only 9 days for us. There were some areas that were a month or two, as you went down to the rural areas.
Yeah.
Those large corridors of electricity that had those erector set-like towers had crumbled in mass, and the whole system was down.
Tell the people on air what you were telling me. I didn't even know this when I was little. I wasn't aware of this. People trying to get the ice off their roof. That was a big thing.
Oh yeah. Well, that was a myth too. People thought, you've got to clear the roof. You've got to get this weight off the roof, or it's going to implode. Well, no. Roofs are built. There's a pitch to a roof to lay off the weight. It dissipates it, and so even if there's ice in your roof, it's displaced across the roof, so you're okay. But people would go up, they'd lay a ladder against the house, and they'd start chipping the ice that's immediately close to the ladder away, and think they're making progress. Okay, I've got a section here. The ice is about 6 to 8 inches thick, so you're talking about a block. But what happens is
Jared knows how this ends.
Void is filled by the ice sliding down the pitch, wiping people off the ladders,
just
bending the ladder into a twisted mess, and killing them.
It's just a bunch of socialist Griswolds just in a line.
Think about that. You chip off, a few inches, and then boom, a whole sheet of
Science.
ice.
Science happened.
I mean, I wouldn't, and I tell you what, I would have never thought of that as a kid. I would have gone up, taken a block of ice. People probably taken some ice out for cocktails. They thought, let's make.
Well, the parents of these children were counting on you not thinking of that. Get up there, little.
Well,
insert generic.
You almost had a tree branch fall on you. Remember that?
Oh yeah. A tree branch that came off while I was trying to free the car. I heard it starting to go and went to scamper away. And you're used to being able to get out of the way of something quickly if there's danger. But no, when your feet are on a freshly Zamboni drink, you're not going anywhere. And I just barely dodged this limb that pierced the roof of the car in the trunk.
Did you get out of the way, or did you just hit the deck and the car stopped the branch?
No, I was out of range, but just barely. I got some of the twigs that hit me, but the brunt of it right on the car and punched a hole.
I remember that. What was a Cadillac Coupe de Ville? Again, my grandfather passed away.
That was Grandpa's car.
So we got this car, limited edition, white, the little leather halfback, gold trim, digital everything, white leather seats, little like sort of, what do you call it, like turtle shell wood trim on the inside.
Tortoise.
It was so tacky, and it punctured a hole in that little like the leather back half of the roof. And I was sitting there like, what?
And I think that car played Big Papa on a loop.
Yes, it did. I remember this was when
high jogs are impressive.
This is when Fast and Furious was really big, and these people, especially in Montreal, was huge. They did the rice rockets, the Honda rice rockets. I don't know if you remember those. And people didn't realize this Coupe de Ville limited edition had a huge V8 for the time. Remember that day we'd pull up to stoplights and people would and Cadillac would just go. Yeah.
It had a hood that went on for days.
Yes, it did.
And not much behind the hood because it was the coupe. You don't see many of those. It was usually the 4-door, big, heavy cars. But that just had the a small area behind this long hood that went on, and you just punched it, and it was crazy. Big Detroit V8.
How many people? Do you remember how many people died in the ice storm? Was it hundreds? Was it thousands? Was it? Do we know?
I don't remember, but I really did not see the hospital thing coming.
Yeah.
Because Montreal has a lot of hospitals, a lot of universities there, teaching hospitals and things in English and French.
Mm-hmm.
They separate them that way. But there were hospitals that just were ill-equipped. And you remember in the hotel, I heard you talk about it tonight. After a while, the food was gone in the hotel. They were fighting down in the lobby. Literally fist fights over the last room key.
Really? I don't remember. I don't remember that, but you must have shielded me from it.
Oh, people would belly up to the counter and try to get a room. And hey, that's our last one. And some guy,
and Billy Zane was shoving women and children out of the way. Like, Billy Zane. Oh, when will you get it right, Billy Zane? This is the Courtyard Marriott downtown.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
By the way, we had no business being there. It's just that we knew a rich guy who had a room. But think about that. Imagine being at like the Ritz or being at Trump Towers and people are fighting over a cashew box down in the lobby. That's what was happening.
Yeah. Okay. I enjoy their
I remember they recycled the mustacholi in the cafeteria style, like you said, the metal cafeteria line there. They just kept running that through, and then they started saying, "Boil the water. We can't trust it any longer." It was, and that's only 9 days.
I thought it was 7, so it was 9 days.
9 days for us, yeah.
9 days.
And then, of course, the government sweeps into action. And how many days were you out? You get a check for this much. How many days were you out? You get a check. So they started to, pay people for their inconvenience that was coming out. That's the role of government.
The inconvenience of death.
Yes. What does the guy with the ice sheet get? Oh, I'll toss him a few bucks. Oh my God, I didn't know that.
And toonies.
What did you get?
Yeah, they sent checks based on your inconvenience. How many days were you out? Well, you get the government's come up with a formula that this is what your inconvenience is worth, and don't bug us.
You know what the smart person does with those checks? You go to CRTV, preparewithcr.com.
Preparewithcr.com and get their. Did you get your emergency food kit yet?
I need to. That sounds like a great idea.
My own dad doesn't even support this program.
Doesn't even care.
I do.
He could be anybody's dad at this point.
I've been so inundated with orders from you guys that I couldn't get in, so I'll have to try again.
Yeah. Did you have any other natural disaster that you lived through growing up? The Detroit riots, but it wasn't the same kind of thing, right, when you were young?
No, Detroit riots were just military vehicles coming down the street, curfews. You couldn't be outside after a certain time. My father, as you know, your grandpa ran reconnaissance missions in the RF-84 to take pictures of rooftops to send back to the state troopers for, these are where your snipers are.
Yeah, which is, you will say this. They were looting, rioting thugs in Detroit, yes. However, they put in a little more effort than the Baltimore people. Putting snipers on rooftops is a little more than destroying a CVS.
That is something you take off a couple days for.
Yes.
Yeah, that is some effort.
You take some sick leave.
Yes.
When you have snipers on the rooftop. What has he got? Well, I don't know. He's got a 30-30 up there, bolt action. Is there anything less urban ghetto than a bolt action sniper rifle?
30-06.
30-06.
Well, but as a kid, I'm elementary school, right? And I just came away thinking, that's how it is. That's the way it is in big cities. The streets never get plowed. Well, that's what happens.
That's
how could
not
they
normal.
possibly plow the streets? And garbage doesn't get picked up. Of course, there's too much. How could that ever happen? And cops get shot at from rooftops. To me, as a kid, it just seemed like the price of doing business. When I grew up, I realized, no, in no other place on earth does that happen.
Well, there are ice storms over here. That's kind of bad, but there aren't any snipers.
Well,
or they're really bad.
As a kid, our street was never, and I mean never, plowed. And you'd go out to the suburbs, and they'd be right down to the cement. We had 2 ruts from just after Halloween to sometime in April that went down the street, and you put your tires in that rut, and that's where you drove. Never cleared.
They had to. This is how they just had to deal with it. Well, if you think about that, now apply it to schools. The exact same thing.
And healthcare and transportation.
Yeah, we got a rut. We got a rut over there on our road. Also, only about half the kids graduate. You're more likely to end up in the clink than making it through the 12th grade.
That's what happens in Detroit.
Yeah.
What an awful place.
Just throw more money at it though, and that'll fix it.
Hey, you're going to be going.
You said, the single leading economic indicator, a health indicator, a lifestyle indicator, is a mom and dad that are married, and kids in school. They have none of that in a lot of cases.
Let's do this. Let's keep Pops Crowder on for one more segment. We can slam dunk him in the middle of the segment, and we're going to toss to Twitter all the questions you have for Pops Crowder and we'll read them after the break. Oh my gosh, is this the Harry Potter bump?
This is the Harry Potter bump.
I love that
How
bump.
appropriate for...
My wife loves Harry Potter.
I'm loving the Pogo bumps. They're the best.
Silence.
All right, Mr. Crowder, I'm just here to remove your bedpan.
No, I don't use a bedpan.
I'm sorry, remove your catheter.
I don't have a catheter.
I'm sorry, remove your raised toilet seat.
I don't have a raised toilet seat either.
Suppository days, roll over.
What?
What? Oh, I knew I should have bookmarked louderwithcrowder.com for daily articles.
And I don't want nobody, and I don't want nobody. You got that right. And I don't want nobody. I lost. Want nobody, and I don't want nobody. Jail never need. You got that right. And I don't want nobody. I lost.
All right, glad to be back. A couple of corrections. It was a 98 ice storm, not 96. That's one of those things where some leftists will take it on Twitter and go, Crowder lies. He lies. 96, 98 is a piece of crap.
It's pathological.
David from Dead Space 00 says 35 lives were lost, injured 945, and it resulted in the temporary displacement of 600,000 people. Pops Crowder, does that sound about right to you?
I believe every word of it.
All right, we have some more. Okay. Someone say, I would love to hear his life living in Detroit before it went terrible. What the Killer Hound 16? This is just silly. Jesse Lale says, for Pops Crowder, how do you feel about having a gay son? Let's just skim on like this is going really well.
Well, draw your own conclusion.
Yes. Oh, what's an embarrassing thing Steven did when growing up? The Happy Soul asks. Is this too on this? Can you think of anything embarrassing? I don't think I did.
I don't know where to begin. There's so many, and my problem, whoever wrote that is, I've always found Steven amusing. I don't know why, but I was usually his biggest audience. And we'd go bowling, and he would moonwalk the length of the facility on the slick bowling alleys. Unbelievable. I'm rolling, and people are so.
How much are you paying him for all this?
I remember this because you had
this is like another live read for Steven.
I remember this because my dad thought it was funny, and we had our friends. Well, no, they're not. The Johnsons, and they were offended. Do you remember that? They were offended that I didn't respect the art of bowling.
Mm. Well, what choice did you have? Rented bowling shoes, that slick floor. It was the perfect marriage for a moonwalk, and I understood that.
Yep, this is true. Some people are asking what it was. Well, this is kind of a repeat of what was it like raising Steven. Oh, here's a good one. Pops Crowder from Jamar Williams. How did you survive socialism and stay conservative? Good question, Jamar Williams. No wiener jokes. That's surprisingly refreshing for the show.
That is a good one, and you guys talk about this in the show a lot. And I think, and I've heard you mention the term the weighted bat, and I use that a lot. But that's what that was for you and your brother, and even for me to some degree, to keep ourselves centered. We had to have conversations about faith, family, and freedom all the time because we were in really the belly of the beast. We were in an environment that shared none of those values. And so I almost think if we had been in the States, maybe I would have neglected some of that. Maybe I would have assumed you were learning it in school, and that would have been wrong. So we were in an environment where it was so negative to those pillars that we had to talk about it all the time.
It's a good point. Also, I use a weighted bat analogy because my dad used to beat us with a weighted bat. So there was that.
It's more effective.
It is more effective, especially if it's corked. Someone said, what are your initial thoughts on Hillary? Well, hold on a second. Good Hillary. Oh, good Hillary. Yeah, wife Hillary from American Patriot. What were your initial thoughts on good Hillary?
Well, come on. You married way over your head, and we knew that early on. We were just, praying her into your life since you were a munchkin. But no, we're thrilled. We didn't have any daughters, so she came into our life along with your brother's wife, and it's been a blessing. She's great. She tolerates a lot.
She does tolerate a lot. Okay, here's one from Nicole, one of our most regular listeners. Thank you, Nicole. Dad, what's your best piece of parenting advice?
We just kind of touched on it. You can't assume the institutions are going to take care of any of it. Shame on these parents that don't send their kids, especially Christian parents, that don't send their kids out with how their worldview plays out in the public square, what they can expect at school, what they can expect from media, from pop culture, from Hollywood, from MTV, and that's important. And you picked that up and ran with it, in engaging in the culture with your values instead of running from it and saying, "Oh, we walked out of that show and we don't listen to that music." Well, you steered into the crazy skid, and you're making a difference. So you and Gay Jared, hats off to you guys.
Well,
we agreed it was not gay. I thought
I don't know.
That's right, not gay.
Supposed to extend to your dad.
You just open yourself up to
I
a
didn't draw a
whole
conclusion at
legal
all. I
can
just
of
misspoke.
worms. Okay, for Papa Crowder, he has to be careful. What's your real opinion on Trump? Asks Squared Piston.
Well, I think last time I was on the show. Not our pick.
How much do you like death threats, Papa Crowder?
Yeah, how much do you like people
What's
calling?
that?
How much do you like people calling you a cuck and hating you if you don't step in line? Careful with this answer.
No, I know they're out there, but it's a principled position, really. And I've read both party platforms. One's 52 pages, one's 50 pages. I know what they stand for. And as I told you, I try to square this with, it doesn't really matter who's the top of that ticket. You vote the ism, you vote the ideology, you vote the platform that agrees the closest with your worldview.
Yeah.
And I'm precluded from voting for the other side. It's not possible.
Mm-hmm.
I can't square killing babies, two dudes as the new American family, setting our face against Israel, embryonic stem cell research, pull the plug on grandma when she coughs.
No.
That's not my party.
That's a good point. All of those are good points. So let me ask you this. Final question. I have to let you go. Gun to your head, not your heart. Who do you think wins the election?
Yeah, I think Hillary wins it.
Bad Hillary. We're not talking about my wife. She's not even on. I don't even think she's only registered in 42 states. So really, she can't get the votes. She can't get the votes.
No.
Pops Crowder, thank you very much. We appreciate it. You must go.
Thanks, guys.
There we go. My dad loves his chronic.
He does.
Loves his chronic. I'm more of a Kush man myself. Well, you know what? We can't do. A lot of people like the show wrap up. We can't really do the wrap up because we're going to have one web extended segment for people watching right now live where we announce the winner of the Halloween costume. So let me talk about this before we go. I was talking before we finally got Pops Crowder on the line. Obamacare premiums are set to skyrocket an average of 22% for the benchmark silver plan in 2017. What I find hilarious is the media's going, well, there are just factors at play that confounding factors here that we couldn't have predicted. Every single person opposed to the Affordable Care Act predicted this. There's not one who didn't see it coming. There's not a single person on the right. This is why every Republican voted against it. When you say they're all the same and vote out all Republicans, every Republican voted against the Affordable Care Act.
Some may say this is one of our main issues.
This is one of our main issues. Some may say it was a closed-handed issue. What did we say? You can go back to me at 21 years old. Right back in 2009 saying, well, listen, I've lived through this. This is going to skyrocket premiums,
You're better looking
deductibles.
then.
It's going to cost more. I get better looking as I age. You age like milk. We've been through this. Of course, all of these prices will have to go up. You're basically funding everybody, regardless of whether they're sick, regardless of risk assessment, into insurance companies. You're forcing them to or punishing them, and they can charge whatever they want. LouderWithCrowder.com, web extended version, and winners after this.
P-O-G.
I thank you all for coming today. Family, friends, loved ones, esteemed colleagues, curious members of the press, to honor and remember a great advocate of social change, Scooter Littlefoot. A fearless and tireless warrior who made an impact on this world in what little time he had, and a great man who touched many lives and many people over the span of many years, addressing many issues. I know if he could be here today, he would reach out and touch all of our hearts with his gentle, caring, disproportionate, if surprisingly heavy, little hands. It is with great joy that we celebrate Scooter Littlefoot's life, but great sadness that he was so misunderstood and we failed to see the warning signs. Perhaps we will never know the mental torture which drove Mr. Littlefoot
to taking his own life by shooting himself in the back of the head 4 times and throwing his body in the Los Angeles River. But hopefully this will teach us...
Gosh, did they have to do an open casket?
What?
Open casket.
That's a casket? I thought it was a mini fridge. Glad to be back. This is all weird because we have the web extended segment going on right now. We're off terrestrial, right?
Yeah.
Penile warts.
I was
just
dead frog.
I just wanted to say that the whole time. Okay, so we had our Halloween Spooktacular, and we have a costume contest. Do you have any people who you prefer in the costume contest thus far?
I'm still looking through them here. Give me a second.
All right, let me give you.
I need to catch up with the latest entries.
I like Brittany, the lumberjack. I have this up on my screen here, and let me tell you why. When you first saw that, I thought, well, that's kind of mediocre. It's a guy who can't grow a beard, and I zoom out. Boom! It's a woman.
Whoa!
And a cute woman.
I'm not gonna lie. I saw that one earlier. I did not catch. Yeah.
And you know why I respect that? For the same reason I think Phoebe was funnier in Friends. Women, the reason they're often not funny is because they're too concerned with being sexy. Now, you can still be a sexy woman and not be sexy when you're being funny. I think Lisa Kudrow is actually a very pretty woman if you see her when she's dressed up.
She is.
But she was fine being goofy and looking silly. Brittany is okay with looking goofy, not looking necessarily like an attractive woman out in the town. She went all in for the costume, but you can see with the picture, she's actually a pretty girl.
There you go.
So I like Brittany. I really like Brittany. The costume. Good, Hillary. I like Brittany. Do you have any others in mind of who you really like? Peter Potter did the Not Gay Jared. This is the one I was telling you about.
Yeah, I gotta see this one.
Yeah, that's Not Gay Jared right there.
No, yeah.
Yeah, it's not the best.
I see the resemblance, but
it's just glasses.
I have a feeling you just have those things on.
Okay. Here's Naomi Yaramillo. I don't know. Tranny Ken Bone.
Whoa.
Tranny Ken Bone.
I can appreciate that.
Tranny Ken Bone. That's pretty good. Tranny Ken Bone. Let's see what else. Oh, here you go. Brandon Wan says he went as Not Gay Jared's job performance this year. It's a trash can. It's a big old trash can.
Well, there we go.
Not a costume. If you actually dressed up like a trash can, that would be the winner.
That would be good. That'd be a winner.
Gosh, Gail, Beast Mom 6. Look at this. You got to appreciate the commitment.
That is committed.
Full, incredible outfit. Gail, we appreciate the commitment. Jared, I'm going to have you be the final deciding factor. Kristen, Kristen, you seem great, but no female Ghostbusters. We just can't.
We just can't.
We can't do it. You know why. If you watch this show, you understand
why. You get
it. Blue's Clues, Little Captain America, Rowdy Piper. This one is pretty good. This one was the dog. Look at this. Look at the bug eyes on the dog.
That is terrifying.
I don't know what it is though. It's just bug eyes and a witch hat on a dog from Icky Z.
That's something though.
It's something. I don't know exactly what it is. Boba Fett. Oh, here we go. Brittany Hanley with the Trekkie.
Yes.
Okay, I like it. Brittany, I appreciate it, but I don't think the level of difficulty is quite the same as the others that we saw. Like from the other Brittany. We have a lot of Brittany's who pay attention to this show.
We do. I've noticed that too.
So what are we thinking here? I think honestly, I've got to say we have the reason I started with these Tranny Ken Bone is really good, and the lumberjack from Brittany is really good. I've got to go with one of those two. I will go this. I will say Tranny Ken Bone on originality, and the fact that a woman was willing to refer to herself as a tranny. Again, going for the laugh. All in. A cute girl who's like,
yep.
I'm fine looking like a dude who's a tranny with the penis.
That's an important.
I respect that.
I respect that too. It commands respect, some would say, of the penis.
It does?
Yep. How about this? Bear with me here.
Okay.
We got these two, right?
Yes.
They're pretty good.
They're both
out of the
pretty
way. These are store-bought.
These are
off
not
the
store-bought
shelf.
costumes.
These took some thought.
These took some
commitment. I say we make both of them winners.
I think we make both of them winners. All right, there you go. Naomi Jaramillo,
Yes.
Tranny Kinbone, you are a winner. And Brittany, not Villanelle is her name, you are a winner.
So
Both of you are winners.
I'll follow them.
Not Gay Jared will follow you. He'll set up the direct message, and you will get at least your preferred shirt from the #NeverDaily store. So you've seen them. There's the Socialism is for Figs shirt. There's the Not Gay Jared shirt.
Yep.
There's a Standard Lotto with Crowder shirt. And there's the Crowder the Barbarian shirt.
Yes.
And even though we will never go daily, there will never be a mug club that is announced perhaps on election night. In a parallel universe, we will make sure that you both are taken care of. So a shirt and whatever, but a non-existent membership. Am I making that clear?
I think it's actually pretty fuzzy, but I think we get what you're talking
Good.
about in the other universe.
So I'm trying to see if they oh, someone here just now. Sorry, it's over. It's over. Brittany Rose commented. Brittany's for the win. Oh,
Late to
no,
the
we have a
game.
late entrance. Okay, Lisa the Donkey Tails, get off the phone as Chank. Yeah, we have to give her one, too.
Yeah.
Come on.
Holy crap.
Come on, look at this.
Look at the gut and all.
Yeah. She's not technically watching Louder with Crowder, though, so that
It
could have been taken at any point.
It's true.
We
It
need
is
confirmation
true.
that is not a Photoshop, that is an actual costume.
Or at least go through the trouble of photoshopping us in the background as if you were watching.
Yes, exactly.
That would also be
So Liza Donkey Tails,
acceptable.
we will get you one. Not Gay Jared will follow you. Make sure you take these names down and you follow them. I had it written down, the takeaway. Do we not have this written down here?
Yeah, it was never mentioned to me when I think about it. We can make something up. We usually make lots of our news stories
Well,
up.
I had something that was really important to me this week that I sat there and I wanted to talk about. It usually comes to me when I'm with the gym. So there you go, Halloween spectacular, spooktacular, of course, because we like the puns on Halloween. Going dark, closing the computer here because I'm going to give you this. I'm going to do this takeaway. So we were talking about it resonated with a lot of people. I guess this sort of idea of compassionate conservatism. I do think that's a fundamental difference, to go back to it, between the right and the left. And I do see a lot of people, this is something that I will say Donald Trump has helped with, has emboldened people to not be ashamed of what they are or what they believe. Even if I don't think Donald Trump necessarily shares what I believe on a lot of issues, he's made it okay to speak out. And I will say this about a lot of young conservatives. I get so many emails all the time, especially after the UMass, the triggering, saying, how do I get through that? How do I do this in school? How do I say this without getting people mad at me? You know what? You don't. You say it and people will get mad at you. Because we've talked about this. Ben Carson, for example, they made him out to be a racist. They made him out to be a mean, hateful, bigoted racist as a black man from Detroit, raised to a single mother. It doesn't matter who you are, they're going to be insanely upset with you. This is what the left does, right? You're against them, or you're not pro-birth. Why don't you want to give all these free things to kids? And I think we need to separate, of course, the left, the modern left, from classical liberals. I understand that language matters. I really do get it. But the modern left, it really is a character. You're going to know.
Well, I was going to say, that's another reason why I think we get frustrated with some of this certain sectors of the alt-right, because they're kind of borrowing in some ways from the tactics of the left, and that's not what we're known for. We're not known for groupthink. We're not known for, that's kind of like antithetical to what we traditionally value.
And just tar and feathering an entire group of people like
character assassination stuff. That's just that's not us.
I oppose Donald Trump because of this. Cuck. You all suck unless you get in line. I just got a few on my dad already. A few people already. Oh, couldn't see that one coming. The left used to do that. Racist, sexist, homophobe. That's what they did. And then you see that, like you said, a little bit from the right, the blanketed character attacks. Here's the deal. If you know you just have to, at some point, as Christ said, they hated me first. I'm not saying you don't have to be a Christian. Just think of it as, I don't know, Confucius. Think of it as whoever led tantric yoga, for crying out loud. I'm just using it as an example. Say it's a parable. They hated me
sport?
First. Tantric yoga?
I have no idea what that is.
You don't need to know what it is. You do know what it is. You're playing.
I'll Google that later.
They hated him first. That's the idea. At a certain point, you can't make everybody happy if you know that you're a decent human being. And I know it's because I struggle with this a lot of the time. Jared knows this, where we sit and we talk with people, and there is a way to converse with people where you can convince them. You need to recognize the people who you can't convince and the people who you can. The people who you can't convince, the Trigglypuffs, you make an example of them so you convince the people who you can. The people who you can convince, you need to understand how to speak to them. You need to understand how to persuade them. I would say this. Andrew Klavan has done this. The most valuable skill I've ever encountered in my life, and Andrew Klavan is the master at this, is when you are an incredibly smart person, But every time you have a conversation with someone, you leave them feeling like they're the smartest person in the room. Whenever I talk with Andrew Klavan, I'm very aware that he's smarter than me. But I leave the conversation going, I'm pretty smart, because Klavan makes you feel as though you're smart. A great piece of advice in business, if you have a great idea, bring it to whoever you're superior and make them think it was their idea. Same thing in debate. Opposition, give respect and transition it to your idea and bring up something that you agree on and present it as their idea. They'll take pride. Well, yeah, I do think that's my idea. So the way you present issues does matter. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is there's a certain segment of the population who will hate you no matter what. And you know who I am, person who emailed me this week. I'm talking to you. You have to accept that. You have to be okay with the fact that some people are going to hate you. And if you know that you're not a horrible person, if you know that it comes from a place of love, if you know that it comes from a true place, if you know that you're against abortion and you're against subsidized housing, welfare state, public education, but you're pro-school choice, you're pro-healthcare across state lines, you're pro-legal immigration while being against illegal immigration, you need to get rid of the guilt. That's one thing I hope people understand, because the guilt mars your thinking and it dilutes your argument. If nothing else with this program, it's okay to think the way you think, and it's okay to present the arguments, and you need to be okay with, even knowing all that and doing all that, some people are going to hate you anyway. They're going to say you're racist, sexist, homophobic, and that's okay, as long as you know that you're not. So don't give it that much weight. Don't. You know who you are, guy who emailed me. Talk to you next week.